we're not a pro-terrorism podcast, but...
Flight 815 crash landed, but where? There's weird jungle noises and a polar bear. What the fuck is going on over there? Helen
and Alex
will guide you through. If you've seen Lost 20 times,
or if you're brand new,
welcome to our show. It's
Dharma Fish Biscuits. Hello and welcome to Dharma Fish Biscuits, your new favourite Lost podcast.
We're your hosts, Helen and Alex. We're going episode by episode, spoiler-free, bringing you all the hot takes no one ever asked for.
You can find us on Instagram at Dharma Fish Biscuits Pod. You can find us on TikTok at Dharma Fish Biscuits. Help us go viral. You can also email us directly at dharmafishbiscuitspod@gmail.com.
You could also join the Patreon. We have a Patreon. It's free to join. Probably always will be. That you can find at patreon.com/dharmafishbiscuits, or download the Patreon app and then just search for us. We're easy to find. Why would you do that, you say? Well, because first of all, that's where the spoilery version of the show lives, most importantly. We also put other stuff up there sometimes, such as jingles, outtakes, other content.
Spoilery version, you say, Helen? This podcast feed is spoiler-free, but we have both seen the full show, so sometimes we might accidentally drop spoilers, talk about something in the wider context of 6 seasons, but don't worry, we will edit all that out, so there'll be no spoilers here. But if you want to hear the spoilers and hear slightly longer episodes, you can find those on Patreon.
Instead of going beat by beat, we aim to focus our discussion on the character the episode centres around, first in flashbacks, then on the island, and then we circle back to anything else we might have missed.
This week, we've got our second Sayid episode, Season 1, Episode 21, The Greater Good. I thought this was a curious title, and I don't know if I really understand what it relates to.
I wonder whether they had just two completely different plot lines, Sayid's flashbacks and the on-island business. And then in the writer's room, they were like, okay, let's brainstorm. What could tie these two themes together? And someone was like, well, Locke thinks that what he is doing is for the greater good, and suicide bombers think that what they're doing is for the greater good. And then there was no more brainstorming that day. The decision was made.
Yeah, because I can sort of see why individually the flashbacks sort of have a theme of the greater good, but not really in relation to Sayid.
He's very much out for the Sayid good. He's like, oh, I can get to see my old girlfriend again. Cool, I'm willing to sacrifice literally anything for that, including potentially many innocent lives.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Anyway, shall we get into some flashbacks?
Let's do it.
Okay, so we start off with Sayid being escorted through Heathrow Airport to meet a CIA agent and an Australian agent.
ASIS. Not as well known as your
ASIS.
CIAs or your MI6s.
Yeah. So they tell him about some explosives that have been stolen, and they want him to infiltrate the operation because the suspect was his roommate at Cairo University. Some Sayid lore unlocked. He went to university in Cairo, apparently. Good for him.
I started thinking about something that I have thought about previously with Sayid's backstory, but this really brought it up for me again when he said the line, I am Iraqi, I am not a terrorist. And first of all, woke Lost in 2004. This is the peak of the kind of war on terror, Iraq war period. So just saying that is like a political statement in itself.
9/11 just happened a few years ago. That goes quite a long way to explain a bunch of stuff on this show.
But then I sort of got sucked into I started Googling sectarian violence, Iraq War 2004, and got into the like Sunni and Shiite, and basically the conclusion that I reached is that it's probably a good thing that Lost didn't try to deal with the complexities of that developing situation, because I think this is better. I think keep it really simple. I'm Iraqi and not a terrorist. Good. Lost.
Yes, but yeah, so he is like, why would I want to help you? And then the CIA agent drops the bombshell that they know where Nadia is.
And at this point, I'm like, so we're already slightly retconning from the previous episode where Sayid met Rousseau and told her that Nadia was dead. Because this episode is like the things that happen to Sayid immediately before he gets on the plane.
Crash. Yeah.
So he knows that she's not dead. In fact, he's on his way to go meet her or find her.
Oh yeah, Sayid says she wasn't on the plane. She's dead because of me. Yeah, and I'm trying to think if he had any reason to suspect that she would die, but no, because they literally are like, she's in LA. Here are some plane tickets
Get
to
on
LA.
this plane.
Have fun.
Yeah. Okay, well,
whatever. So he meets his friend at the mosque. He recognizes him. He basically tells Sayid that he's doing this because his wife... ? The woman he loves has died, so now he is on a mission of suicide bombing.
Assam brings Sayid into his social circle and introduces him to the guys he's sharing a house with, also known as the terrorist cell, among whom Haddad is the ringleader. Sayid earns their trust by proving that their fire alarm is actually a bug. And from then in, he's in the team. He's playing football. He's talking about blowing things up.
He's playing football in front of the Sydney Opera House because we love a very obvious,
oh my god,
very obvious hint.
CGI Sydney was a real tough one to swallow. The CIA agent tells Sayid that like, you gotta get your friend to go through with this. That's the only way we're gonna find out where the C4 is.
Yeah, because the friend Essam is like, I don't think I actually want to do this. Sayid is trying to convince the CIA agents, let's get Essam out, because he doesn't want to do it. But they're like, no, he needs to do it so that we'll know where the explosives are.
And it's basically Said's moral compass at this point is like, I will do literally anything at the risk of harm or death to anyone, just if I can get the possibility to meet Nadia again. Real reasonable... equation being
well, so this is where
there.
they do, like, they actually threaten Nadia, because originally Sayid tries to leave and tries to actually say, I'm done, I'm not gonna go through with this plan. And he says, count me out, I'm done. And the CIA agent says, if you don't do this, then we'll arrest Nadia. Then Sayid goes and sees Essam. This is when Essam invites him to join him, because Essam doesn't think he wants to do it, and Sayid says that lives will be lost in service of a greater good. And this when I was watching this and I was like, is the greater good simply Sayid getting to see Nadia? Is that what we're talking about here? Because I don't know if that would be considered the greater good.
Right, well, but I mean, it's not literally, it's just his argument to someone for why he should be a suicide bomber. So in their world, the greater good would be like the vengeance for his wife's death or whatever, like the striking against the American state, although they're in Australia, don't worry about it. I mean, but I want to pick up on something there, which is that you're saying like, oh, Sayid's making this argument about the greater good, but like, what greater good? And I would also say, if we take that and apply it to Locke, like his whole reason about why Boone had to put himself in that situation and die has to do with, well, it's for the greater good. Like, what greater good? You're following clues and wisps of things that you don't even understand. Like, he says to Sayid that, like, oh, I had to knock... We're going to get there, but he says, like, I had to knock you out when you were trying to triangulate the signal.
For the greater
because
good.
Everyone was trying to just get off the island and they weren't thinking clearly and they weren't thinking about what's for the greater good. And it's like, you don't know anything, actually, Locke.
Yeah.
You don't know whether there's a reason to want to stay on the island more than that you benefited from it personally when your injury got healed.
So maybe the point of the episode is not like thematically about fighting for the greater good, but maybe the point of the episode is that the idea of the greater good is so subjective, and there isn't a definitive concrete greater good. Because yeah, you're right, when I was thinking that the idea of the greater good makes sense on the island because Sayid puts everything aside with Locke to work with him, but then like you say, Locke's idea of the greater good is like figuring out the island. And then here we see that Essam's idea of the greater good is committing a terrorist act. And maybe the point of the episode is simply that the greater good is a flawed concept.
Yeah, or that it's like a opiate of the masses type thing. It's just a delusion to convince you to do things that you actually, like, if you thought about them logically, you'd be like, well, I shouldn't do that. I mean, would John Locke suicide bomb himself for the island?
100%.
Yes, he clearly would. He would. 300 pounds of C4, 400 pounds of C4, no matter the number, he would gladly blow it up if he thought the island was telling him to do it. And I think that is the parallel here, ultimately.
Yeah, I think you're right. Okay, well, good.
Wow,
glad we got to the bottom of that.
Figured that one out.
Let's call it a day. So Sayid reluctantly does agree to go through with it. And then this is when they have their conversation. He gets in the van with Essam and they're talking about what they're going to do. And then Sayid finally has a blast of conscience and is like, you need to leave. I'm doing this for my girlfriend. The CIA are after you.
Basically, I think Sayid just adjusts his plan as it goes along. So when Essam invites him to do the bombing with him, he's like, yeah, great. That actually is even better because then I have an opportunity, like then I'll know where the C4 is and I have an opportunity to let you escape and then it's everyone's a winner. So I don't think it was a sudden strike of conscience in the van. True. I think because as soon as they got in the van and are about to start driving, he's like, Essam, stop.
Yeah. Essam once again mentions the greater good and says this was supposed to be for the greater good, pulls the gun on Sayid and then instead shoots himself.
Sad times for Essam.
It is.
He is a real victim in all of this.
Yeah, I guess so. Well, I feel like we don't really know we don't actually know enough about him and what he's really trying to do. They keep it all sort of vague. I wonder
he seems very easily manipulated by her dad, who is the brains of the operation and never puts himself in harm's way. Yeah. Just saying.
Yeah. I also wonder if it's sort of similar to what we had with Nadia, wherein they don't really get too into the specifics of terrorism and who they are terrorizing and why. It's all this sort of vague idea of, the woman I love died, I need to take revenge, because I guess they don't want us to... we can't empathize too much with actual terrorism.
But the CIA agent does define Essam and his friends as a terrorist cell before Sayid gets included in their group. So one of the things that I was kind of struggling with as I was finishing the episode was like, has Essam actually done anything? Or is he guilty of planning to participate in a suicide bombing that never actually happened?
Yeah.
Because in that case, if he never did anything, then I think it is harsh to call him a terrorist.
Yeah.
He had terrorist intentions, sure, but...
I mean, I think conspiracy is still a crime, even if you don't do the thing.
Sure.
But yes. So they give Sayid his plane ticket and like, oh, he's leaving in 2 hours.
That's honestly rude. Like, you're supposed to arrive at the airport more than 2 hours before an international flight. And they're just like, here's your plane ticket, plane's leaving in 2 hours, you better get moving. Like,
You're assuming I'm packed.
The stress they are putting on this guy at an already very stressful time in his life.
Yeah. But he does try to do the honourable thing and wants to make sure that Essam is given a proper burial because they're intending to just cremate the body, which Sayid tells them that Muslim men are supposed to be buried, not cremated. But of course they can only do that if someone claims the body. So Sayid tells them to change his flight. And this is an interesting sliding doors moment because obviously if Sayid hadn't done that noble thing of wanting to stay behind, then he would not have been on the plane and he would not have crashed on the island. He would have got to LA safely, lived a life with Nadia.
I think what that brings up for us is the question of like choices and fate, both two concepts that are discussed in the text of the episode.
Yes, Ehsan talks quite a lot about Sayid, it being fate that Sayid met him.
And in this case, like, is it fate that Sayid ends up on the plane? Maybe, but he also does so because of his own choice. And I'm thinking of in the scene where Sayid has intervened to prevent Shannon from shooting Locke. And then afterwards, Kate is talking to him about it. And she's like, well, you couldn't let Shannon shoot Locke. You had no choice. And he says, there's always a choice. So both the concept of free will and choices and fate are all discussed in the episode. And I feel like all those themes sort of come to a head in this moment of him saying, no, put me on a flight for tomorrow.
Yeah.
Thus dooming him to his fate, or putting him exactly where he needed to be. Who can say?
Shall we move to the island?
Oh, let's jump back to the present. Back to the island.
So we're going to discuss Sayid on the island, but we're going to have to build in some other scenes that don't involve Sayid just so that we can make this all flow, I think.
Yes, it's largely one big story with some little tangents. So we start with Sayid, and he is watching Shannon cradling Boone's dead body.
Can I interrupt this very serious scene to talk about Shannon and her outfits?
Oh, yes, please. I love to talk about Shannon and her outfits.
Because it's something that I have been thinking about since I watched this episode the first time. And to be fair, she's in the same outfit the whole episode. And it's the same outfit that she was wearing in the last episode when she went off for her little beach picnic with Sayid. With like her pink shirt and like a white tank top underneath and stuff.
Yeah.
But even going back to that in the previous episode, before all the Boone stuff had happened, she's already chosen to start dressing in a much more like casual, comfortable way. Gone are the floaty tops and the big earrings and the little mini skirts. She's dressing in a real like low-key way. And I feel like maybe she feels like so comfortable with Sayid and doesn't feel like she has to try and impress anyone anymore and can just like let go a little bit of that, or what that thing that has been so important to her about sort of dressing up and putting on a nice show. She's sort of able to just let go of it a little bit and focus more on the things that are real and important.
That is a nice call out. Well done.
Because it would be easy if you watch this episode in isolation to think, oh, she's doing like a sort of overalls of sadness. This is my grief look with my hair down and sort of like just tied back at the nape of my neck. But she was actually already there.
She was already wearing it. I mean, to be fair, she does still have teeny tiny shorts on.
Wow.
Gotta get those light sticks out.
Hey. But yeah, that was just a thought that I had that felt significant given the Shannon outfit of the day watch that we like to keep up on this podcast.
Yeah. I also thought about what a complicated situation this must be for Sayid, because obviously last night Shannon told him that Boone was in love with her and that she had complicated feelings to him and she will always feel something for him. And Sayid was like, okay, we can take things slow, that's fine. But also now he has to deal with... So now she's going to be dealing with processing those feelings on top of processing her grief. And also he knows that essentially the reason she wasn't here during his final moments is because she was off with... He
was trying to get a shag, yeah.
Yeah, he was taken off for a nice romantic picnic, Helen. No expectations, only hope.
I don't know whether Sayid would actually feel guilty about that, because he, to me, seems like the kind of person who would be very, like, zen and just, like, we couldn't have known. We have to enjoy our life while we're here.
Yeah, that's true.
But I think that you're right. Like, he must be feeling a bunch of kind of conflicting feelings around this. I think he does a really good job of like meeting Shannon where she is in her grief, and he doesn't make it about himself at all. Yes. He wants to do what he can to help her, and in his mind, one of the things he can do to help her is just to be honest with her. and say, like, Son told me these things. She told me that he was brave, and he told Jack not to amputate his leg because he didn't want to use the antibiotics. It's like, you might feel that kind of level of detail was, like, too much to say to someone who's in a moment of grief, but I think what Sayid's doing is just like, I want to be real with you and honour his memory, like, as best we can.
Yeah.
He's very compassionate.
He is. And very emotionally mature. Good for
Yeah,
him.
we love him.
So we cut to Kate in the jungle, following a trail of bloody bandages, and she comes across Jack.
Fucking jump scare Jack, looking like an absolute ghoul. Lest we forget, he literally just got done pouring all of the blood out of his body into Boone's carcass.
And now he's off to kill John Locke. And I was wondering, where are your allegiances here, Helen? Jack is acting like a ghoulish psychopath, but also you famously have broken up with Locke.
Famously, I'm not on board with Team Jack or Team Locke when it comes to leadership of this island. I reject both options and wish for a secret third option in the form of literally anyone. Could be Sayid, could be Kate, could be like a council of elected officials.
That's true. I mean, Kate is there being the voice of reason, saying, come on, Jack, you need to come back. You need to go to sleep.
Hit the road, Jack. Won't you come back? Yeah, and actually he listens. I'm not going to hand it to Jack because this is absolute, like, baseline level stuff, but he does listen to her and comes back to have the Booneral. Listen!
That is
We have
very
to call
nice.
it the Booneral because that's the name of the music track that Michael Giacchino wrote for Boone's funeral. Michael Giacchino fucking loves a pun, and he will let it be known at every opportunity.
Yes, we go to the Booneral. There are some great things happening here that really made me happy. Walt reaching up to hold Michael's hand. Adorable.
Sweet. Yeah.
Son comforting Kate, confirming your theory that they are in fact island besties / lesbian lovers. We get a shout out for Joanna. Remember Joanna?
Yeah.
Sadly
pour one out
departed.
for Joanna. Obviously, like, we get that shout out when Sayid is doing an impromptu sort of speech at Boone's
Eulogy,
funeral.
I believe it's called.
Thanks. I knew there was a word for it. When Sayid is doing an impromptu eulogy at Boone's funeral, his Booneral, if you will. But that only happens because, like,
Shannon doesn't want to say anything.
Yeah, well, I mean, let's not say doesn't want to. She doesn't find herself capable of saying anything at the time when she's called upon. I think that's fair. She's in the midst of her grief. But I was like, I mean, Jack knew Boone pretty well. Boone has been, like, trying to follow in Jack's footsteps since day one when he brought him pens to do, like, a one of these.
I mean, Jack's eulogy would be like, Boone, you better think about giving that lifeguard license back.
No, I mean, to be fair, okay, Jack is not in a good state either. I can understand if he also didn't feel up to doing an impromptu eulogy, but I feel like he could have said something really simple, like, on our first day here, Boone saw me, I found Boone doing CPR, and that's the man that he is. He wants to help people every way he can, even when he doesn't always make the right decisions. His heart was always in the right place, and that's how I'll remember him. See, I did it. Like,
that's true, but that would rely on Jack actually, like, paying attention to other people around him and internalizing any of their actions instead of just being like, you're being a nuisance to me trying to do things.
Harsh. I have to say that when Sayid does speak up, it's very... He's like, what's my, like, USP in relation to Boone? Well, I didn't know the guy, so it's like, I did not know Boone very well, and for that I am sorry. Like, the way he fucking yells to this gathered funeral, like, there's like 16 people there. They're all standing very close together. The acoustics on the beach are amazing. I literally, like, the second he started yelling like that, I was like, Shannon's getting the ick. Like, this isn't...
But also, I don't know, they've been there like what, 4 weeks at this point? 42 days. So they've been there 42 days at this point, according to Lostpedia. So they've been there 6 weeks. I was going to say nobody knows each other very well, but I suppose after 6 weeks,
quite a long time.
You probably do actually know people okay.
They're
but
the only people they've been talking to and seeing for 6 weeks.
Yeah, it felt very jarring for me that he starts by saying, I didn't know him very well. And then he tells like quite a nice story about Boone and then ends by saying, I didn't know him. And it's like, okay, yeah, we get it. You didn't know. Like,
can't emphasize enough. Don't know this guy.
Like,
couldn't pick him out of a lineup.
Sorry to that man. Like, you could have just told the nice story.
Yeah, but maybe he was trying to sort of be gracious to Shannon and be like, you know, I may not be the right person to give Boone's eulogy, but I can tell you this one thing I remember about him. Like,
it's also I'm just thinking about it now, and I'm like, it's quite a funny story, actually. The thing I remember about Boone is that he tried to save this woman, and he failed, and she died. Miss you, Boone. Anyway, then who comes to give a second eulogy?
Oh.
It's Locke. Locke has come to tell us that actually it's his fault.
I love this scene. This is one of my favourite bits in the episode, because we see Locke in a state that we very rarely see him in, which is to say, totally out of control. He has totally lost control of the way that other people are perceiving him. He clearly has some idea in his head that he's going to rock up, acknowledge some responsibility, acknowledge some accountability, just lay some transparency out on the line, and it'll be fine. Like, people will understand. And he starts his little speech, and the people are just like staring silently.
Yeah,
from a distance.
You can sort of feel him going off the rails. Because like you say, I think he hasn't spoken to anybody. So he assumes that, oh, Boone died and everyone's going to be sad that Boone is dead. But if I just come back and I'm like, yeah, I should have done this. It's so sad. Everyone will be like, yeah, it is so sad. And you can sort of see him not get that response at all.
Losing his grip on the situation as it unfolds. Every sentence that he says trails off. He doesn't get a single full sentence out. And that's so non-Locke. That's so like not uncharacteristic for Locke to not be able to have like the fully formed thought of how he wants people to be perceiving him at a given moment. And I just found it so well executed. The way that it just draws out, and every time he opens his mouth again to try and sort of like make it a little bit better, the people are just continuing to like stare silently at him, and it's not making it better, it's only making it worse.
Yeah.
And then, of course, Jack loses his fucking mind.
And Jack just starts screaming at him.
Honestly, like, Matthew Fox gives an intense performance as Jack on any day of the week, but in this scene, it was so right for the moment.
Yeah.
The way that he fully, like, let loose with, like, who are you? Who are you? He wants to beat this guy to death, and he probably would if all the other men of the island didn't, like, and plus Kate, jump in and sort of, like, hold him back and restrain him. Meanwhile, I noticed all the extras, who aren't actually characters on the show, simply stand and watch. And I was like, same bitch. Like, if Jack was going to attack Locke in that moment, I would also be like, let's just see how this plays out.
Yeah.
I don't feel the need to get involved.
Jack then sort of collapses into the sand. And then
literally looks like he's about to throw up from sheer exhaustion.
But then, across his collapsed body, Locke and Sayid lock eyes. Everyone is saying, Jack, you need to rest. And Jack is saying, no, Locke lied. There's something about a hatch.
No rest. Only vengeance. He's kind of got his current Jack Council around him. The obviously unelected Jack Council of like subdivision leaders, which is at this point Sayid, Kate, and Sun. You know, we like to mix them up and switch them around a bit. Who gets to be on the B team of leadership? But I think they're quite a good combo, to be honest.
Yeah, everyone is in agreement that he should rest. Then we go to Locke giving Boone's bag to Shannon.
This scene.
And this scene between Locke and Shannon, I actually quite enjoyed it because
I loved it. I just hated what came afterwards.
I feel like this is something we're seeing a few times, which is Locke actually sort of reckoning with what happened. And he doesn't say an awful lot, and I feel like maybe he should have had more to say, but he sort of offers to Shannon that he shouldn't have let Boone come with him.
I'm a bit shaky on Locke in this scene. I think Shannon does I love Shannon in this scene because she seems to be like the way that she allows him to come and sit with her and talk to her is really showing some grace and some sort of restraint in her moment of grief, I think.
Some Maggie Grace.
Amazing. Indeed, she's showing some grace. And like she thanks him for bringing Boone's bag, and when he says, well, I never should have let him come with me that first day when he wanted to go hunting, she sort of lets him off. I mean, first of all, that's not a real apology because he's talking about going hunting. Like, why shouldn't you have let him come with you going hunting? That's not the issue here. But anyway, she sort of lets him off the hook and is like, oh, he would have come anyway. And Locke's like, yeah, he probably would. So that they're like connecting for a little moment. And there's a moment when it seems like these two people have both lost someone that they care about and they're both sorry for what has happened. But it's when he says, I hope you can forgive me. I'm sorry. That's when it seems to like take a turn for her, that she's like, oh, so you killed him.
Oh, that's interesting. I sort of took the whole thing as her, she's still grieving and she doesn't really know what happened. She's heard Jack she's heard Jack screaming at Locke about him. And she's very quiet. And he, like, although she says thank you when Locke brings her the bag, but it's a sort of like, thank you. Like, it's not oh my God, thank you for doing this. And like, all she says is that, oh, Boone would have gone anyway. Even if you told him not to come, he would have gone. And she, I don't know. She just seems to be absorbing what he's saying and letting it sort of percolate in her mind before
I just wonder whether she's absorbing it a bit too much.
Yeah.
I don't know. I agree. I could agree with your view on it. But when he says, I hope you can forgive me, I'm sorry, that's when she starts like full on crying. And maybe it was the fact that he acknowledged that he was at fault. It combined with the fact that Jack has been doing his like, Locke's a liar. I don't know.
I just feel like Locke needed to do a bit more. Like it felt like they were getting somewhere and he was opening up and extending this olive branch and he just says, I hope you can forgive me, sorry, and walks away. And
I mean,
sort of
not
done.
in that tonality.
And, I mean, yeah, just saying I'm sorry and then walking away sort of affected the genuineness of it for me.
I don't know what else he could reasonably have been expected to do in that situation. Like, unless he could have said, like, would you like me to tell you more about how it happened? Or
yeah, I guess maybe sort of ask what she needed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or even like, is there anything you want to say to me? Is there anything I can do for you? Instead of just saying, I hope you can forgive me, I'm sorry. And walking and leaving her to be by herself.
Part of the issue for Locke at this point is like he does not want to tell the full story about the hatch. So he is also like wanting to be cautious about how much information he offers to anyone, including Shannon.
Yeah.
Well, should we move on from that scene because Shannon comes away from that.
Shannon goes straight to Sayid.
And suddenly she's not crying any longer. She's stone cold. And she looks Sayid dead in the eye and says, John Locke killed my brother. Would you do something about that? Yeah. She's back to being her catty self, but this time it's murder.
Using people for her gains?
So this brings me to one of the big sort of overarching themes of the episode, which I've been thinking about quite a lot basically ever since we started on this Boone death trajectory, which is like justice and retribution on the island. I think any sort of attempt of having a justice system in this kind of scenario is going to be pretty ropey. But I think that given that, you know, these strangers are thrown together and they have to try and survive together, and they have to be able to coexist with each other in a state of like trust. That it's about having some sort of social contract whereby everybody knows kind of broadly what behavior is accepted and what behavior isn't accepted, and what happens if you don't abide by the accepted behavior. And the only real example that we've had so far, I think, has been like Sayid post-torturing Sawyer kind of voluntarily exiled himself because he felt like, I can't live with myself and I can't live with this community knowing what I did. And then, you know, that kind of all worked itself out pretty quickly.
But I mean, that was an extension of another example of this, which was, we believe at least, the Islanders believe, that Sawyer is holding the drugs and we need to get the drugs from Sawyer. Therefore, what do we do when someone is not adhering to this social contract?
Yeah.
Let's torture him.
That's true. That is true. And, like, I'm not saying that this should be, like, priority number one, that they should start establishing, like, a court system and how to prove or disprove guilt and how to establish punishments and things. Like, that is very much not the show that Lost is, and I wouldn't want it to be.
Yeah.
But the broader question of, like, can you have justice in a place like this? What does that look like? If you do an eye for an eye, where does it end?
Yeah.
You know, Sayid, when he's considering whether he should have let Shannon shoot Locke or not, I mean, Kate, like I said, Kate has this comment about like, oh, well, you had no choice. You couldn't let Shannon shoot Locke. And Sayid's like, meh, I could have. I mean, who's to say whether that was the right thing or wrong thing to do? And he tells Locke that the reason why he intervened is because he thinks Locke gives them the best chance of surviving.
I think that is interesting to think about. Anyway.
What's the next thing?
Well, then we get this short little scene where Kate is making Jack have a drink. And then she's like, surprise,
Oopsie,
I spiked
you. I love that scene. Also, for one thing, I'm like, we support women's rights and women's wrongs. And for another thing, when he's like, you drugged me? And she's like, yeah. He's like, okay. It's such a funny reaction.
Very fast acting sleeping pills, I
Oh,
must
for
say.
sure. Yeah.
Anyway, then we go back to our main man, Sayid. Sayid comes to see Locke while he is washing out his t-shirt. Finally, after like fucking 24 hours of being covered in Boone's blood.
Yeah, I'm sorry, but also like
the
t-shirt is like drenched in blood.
Yeah.
Locke is wringing it out under their water supply.
Oh god, and it's all just going in the water.
And it's like, you think you're gonna keep that t-shirt? You're gonna wear it afterwards? Like, you're not gonna get all the blood out. Throw it away, bury it, burn it, I don't care. But like, stop what you're doing. This is not normal behaviour.
This is where we start to get Locke versus Sayid.
Honestly, the battle of wills for the century. The way these two are just like have declared total psychological war on each other is I love to watch it.
So I was actually thinking about this in contrast to Locke versus Jack, which is something we have seen and will see more of in the show. And I actually think that Locke versus Sayid is a more interesting dynamic. And I don't think that's just because I hate Jack. But
Sayid is playing on Locke's level when it comes to psychological manipulation.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Like, it feels like Sayid actually has sort of a point to his disagreements with Locke, and he's got his own viewpoint, whereas a lot of the time, Jack's viewpoint is very much just like, I think you're crazy, whereas Sayid is actually trying to match the four-dimensional chess that Locke is often playing and has his own thought process.
Yeah, Jack is
behind
quite
it.
easily swayed by like emotions and by circumstances in front of him. He tends to, like, we've said it before about Jack, but he just like finds a direction and then runs very fast. He's not so much for the four-dimensional chess.
Yeah.
And Sayid is like, you know, it's really
thinky.
It's game recognized game in this when he's kind of asking some questions to Locke, and Locke's like, you used to be an interrogator, right? Well, you haven't lost your edge or whatever.
So Sayid asks to take him to the plane because he wants to try and see if any of the radio is salvageable to use for the raft.
It's a great cover story.
Great cover story. / it might be partially genuine.
Yes, it's certainly believable, and that's that's kind of important because it means Locke has no reason to say no when he's like, if you'd be willing to take me. And Locke's like, of course, because I can't see any way to back out of this. And then it's just the two of them, and, they can start to sort of like, I was going to say put their guard down, but that's the wrong word. They start to maybe allow their psychological warfare to become a little bit more apparent.
Yeah, they start talking a bit more frankly. Locke is still trying to play this game of, I'm being open, I'm telling you everything, and he asks Sayid why he doesn't trust him, and Sayid is like, well, for a start, there's a gun that you haven't told anyone about that I guess he's just seen through Locke's trousers. Is that a gun in your pocket, or are you really happy Boone's dead?
Oh, no, Alex.
I love this exchange where he gives Sayid the gun and says, here you go, here's the gun. Does that earn me trust now? And Sayid says, no, you gave that to me because I asked you for it. That earned you adaptability. Very good.
It's a great line and it's a great moment. There is some stuff like leading up to this that I didn't want us to skip over. Locke says, Jack called me a liar in front of every man, woman and child on this island. And it's like, okay, boo fucking who? You lied. So like, oh no, it's the consequences of my own actions. And I love when Sayid has this line kind of early in their interaction when he says, I know when I'm being lied to. And as their conversation plays out, Locke sometimes lies to him and sometimes is like honest with him. And after this whole thing with the gun, when Sayid has gotten the gun off of Locke, and then Locke says, oh, well, why don't I tell you something you don't know so to prove that you can trust me? He says, that time when you were out trying to, like, triangulate the signal and you got booped over the head, that was me, bitch. And Sayid loses his shit and is, like, pointing the gun up in Locke's neck.
Yeah,
and
it's sort of a wild thing to confess, of, like, how can I get you on side? I'll tell you that I brutally attacked you and ruined our chances of getting off the island.
He's playing, like, a high-stakes game, I think. He knows that he needs to give Sayid something that is A, absolutely true, and B, like, a real confession. But yes, it is kind of crazy to bring it up. Why would you want to try and have this, like, wider conversation about we shouldn't be trying to get off the island, we should be, like, listening to what the island wants? He doesn't go that far, but he kind of is going in that direction. Like, is this really the time to try and talk about all of that? And at the end of all this, when he is kind of convinced Sayid not to shoot him, he still lies again.
Yeah.
When Sayid says, okay, now, like, tell me about the hatch. And
Locke's like, well, there are two hatches on a plane.
Looks him straight in the eye and is like, don't know what to tell you, mate. There's a hatch on a plane, so might have been that. And it's like, he literally, may I refer you to the previous comment where Sayid literally said, I know when I'm being lied to.
Yeah.
I mean, my dude. Sayid, my president.
Are we assuming that Sayid didn't believe him for a second?
Absolutely. He was like, okay, I'm gonna pretend to buy that for a minute while we have this conversation.
What do you think his play is here? Because he lowers the gun and the next we see he's back on the beach talking to Shannon. So what do you think his plan is? Is he just biding his time of thinking, okay, Locke wants to pretend he doesn't know anything about the hatch. Fine, we'll play a long game with this. What's he doing?
It's a good question. I mean, tension is running very high between Locke and Sayid at this point. So maybe he has the feeling of being like, if I call him out and push on this point right now, it's not going to go well for me. Like,
yeah, but he is the one with the gun.
I don't know. It's a valid question, but my view, maybe it's because I'm a Sayid lover, is that he absolutely didn't buy it for a second. He was like, I know when I'm being lied to. I'm just going to file that information away for later.
Yeah. So we go to the island, go back to the beach. Shannon is looking through Boone's bag and she finds his wallet. There's a little photo of the two of them. Very nice, very cute. And I don't know, I think it's interesting to think about this in the context of her relationship with Boone, because she said that Boone was in love with her and she sort of treated him like shit immediately prior to the crash, where she was like, let's sleep together. Okay, now we're gonna not have anything to do with each other. We're back to normal. And seeing that he's still got the photo in her wallet, I don't know. Do you think she feels any guilt about doing that? And is like, maybe his feelings were like genuine feelings and I shouldn't have been such a bitch about it.
What I thought about looking at the photo was like, there were times when they had such a nice time together. It reminded me that like Boone's feelings about Shannon were not completely one-sided. Like, they must have had so many times together, like laughing, having fun, going to parties or going clubbing or whatever. Like, all of these parts of their lives that happened before we met them and prior to all the flashback stuff. And like, yeah, what we've seen Shannon, the way we've seen Shannon behave towards Boone in flashbacks is like kind of calling on him to come and save her when she's got herself into a pickle, and then sort of like exploiting the fact that she knows he has feelings for her. But they had some kind of like real friendship underneath it all, or they used to.
Yeah.
So that was what my thoughts went to, more so than her feeling guilty. That they have like a deep, real connection.
Yeah. Sayid is there. He finds her and essentially says that he believes Locke. He saw the plane. He believes it was an accident. He didn't mean to harm Boone. And Shannon is not happy with this.
No, she's like, okay, well, if you want something done right, better do it yourself.
Yeah. And he does say, I know how strong the need can be to find someone to blame. And I don't know, this also brought me back to the flashbacks, where obviously Sam is dealing with the loss of the woman he loves. And he is going to blame someone by committing a terrorist act. And Sayid is like, oh, is history repeating itself here? Like, you want to blame someone, you want to cause, you want to kill some people. But, you know, you don't have to. But yes, Shannon says, just forget about it. And she runs off by herself. Jack finally wakes up from his long
And he's
sleep.
like, where's my fucking gun key?
I mean, he didn't sleep for that long because it's still like the same day. Don't sleeping pills normally knock you out for like a whole night?
Yeah, ideally. Well,
but anyway, here he is. Kate has also brought him some food and she says it's soup. So nice to know that someone on the island is making soup somehow and is serving it to him inside a hollowed out melon. And then Jack is like, where's my key? Who is here? Someone's taken the key to the gun case.
Smash cut to Shannon in the rain, getting the gun out. It's raining now also.
Oh,
suddenly.
yeah. Oh, because Locke did say, a storm's coming.
Yeah, but like, there's a real disconnect in the timeline, right? When it's like Kate and Jack are on the beach, it's not raining. They realise the key is gone. Shannon's getting the guns. It is raining. Well, you know, weather can turn very quickly on the island.
Yes, day turning into nighttime weather, famously. Jack is
Guys,
like, it must be.
Where are we?
It must be Locke. So him and Kate start running into the jungle and Sayid finds them and asks them what's happening. And then...
And he's like, I don't think it is Locke.
It wasn't Locke.
My dudes.
So the three of them go racing into the jungle. Jack, Kate, Sayid. Shall we hit the jingle?
Ah! I never see it coming.
3 characters in a scene. You know what that means. It's time for Fuck, Marry or Kill. Fuck, Marry or Kill.
Okay,
Jack, Kate, Sayid. Marry
Yeah.
Sayid.
Yeah.
Shag Kate, kill Jack. Easy peasy.
Yeah, easy peasy. No questions. So they are running through the jungle. Jack falls down and Kate's like, oh, I must help Jack. So it's Sayid that races ahead and he finds Shannon standing, pointing the gun at Locke.
In the rain. Very dramatic. Locke's there with his arms up like he's Jesus Locke or something.
Yeah, I did find it very funny when Sayid was like, "You've never fired a gun before," so she just shoots in the ground. It's like, there we go, fired it
Absolute
before.
iconic shit. I was like, not that I support Shannon, but that was amazing. And she's like, fucking fire one now, haven't I?
Sayid says to her, "If you do it, you can never take it back," which I thought was quite interesting because I know when we've previously talked about Charlie shooting Ethan, we sort of talked about the impact of killing and taking a life. And I think at the time we were maybe a bit dismissive of how the show handles the idea of guilt and the concept of taking a life. And I actually think I might want to walk that opinion back because I think they have, at least in this season,
we hate to have to walk our opinions back. Sorry, continue.
I think, at least in this season, what we've seen, they are actually doing quite a good job of interrogating what it means and the impact it has if you impulsively choose to kill someone. Anyway, she does shoot, but like simultaneously, Sayid is tackling her to the ground. So it's okay. It's only grazed the side of Locke's head.
And iconically, as Locke takes a bullet to the side of the head and falls to the ground, Jack stands there and is like, none of my business.
Yeah.
I don't feel the
stare
need
at each other for a bit.
I don't feel the need to intervene and see if there's any doctoring to be done here. I'm gonna wait. I'm gonna wait and see how this plays out.
I mean, I will say there was very little injury to Locke's head.
Yeah. Sayid really master of timing. That was
Yeah.
That's quite good. But no, I'm pro Jack in that moment, not trying to like provide medical aid to Locke. He's just like, "Oh, you're all right, are you? Okay, fine."
So later back at the beach, Shannon is sitting alone by the fire. And this is when Kate and Sayid have their nice little moment because she says that Shannon needs a bit of time and Sayid tells her that time won't make a difference.
That was sad.
Yeah. And then we end with Locke and Sayid once again. And Locke says he knows what it cost him to do what he did. And Sayid
Sayid's
tells
like,
him,
blah, 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 blah. Get to the point. You're gonna take me to the fucking hatch, bitch.
yeah. But he says he might be the best hope of surviving, which goes back to what we were saying a few episodes ago with the fact that even the people who are following Locke don't like him, don't trust him. Like Charlie said, he's an absolute psychopath.
Maniac. Lunatic. I don't know,
Yeah.
something like that.
But he's the best chance we've got of getting off this island. And Sayid is now also on this team of like, absolutely fuck Locke. He is unhinged and we cannot trust him, but he's going to get us off the island. Or he's going to help us survive.
Do you remember when Sayid took that boop to the head? And then he immediately went and spoke to Locke about it. And he was like, well, where were you at the time when I got booped? And Locke was like, might I interest you in blaming Sawyer?
Yep.
Because actually, like, Sawyer could have set up like a timer for setting off his firework using a cigarette.
So everyone knows how to time delay a fuse.
And like we had like a conversation in that episode. Obviously, like, because I'm a dum-dum, I didn't remember that it was Locke who booped Sayid. I had in my mind, I was like, it's either Locke or Rousseau, and I couldn't remember which way it was going to go. But I didn't actually think it was Locke. But I remember we had a conversation that was very much about how Locke was being extremely dodgy and like it was so obvious that he was trying to put the blame off of him and onto Sawyer.
Yeah.
So this is kind of like a reverse of Hand It to Jack, where I have to take it away from Sayid because he didn't notice himself being so obviously played in that moment.
Yeah, also we very quickly moved on from that whole plot. Like, it's quite a long payoff.
Yeah, like,
that was like episode
he got
4?
booped on the head. Someone sabotaged their whole like plan to triangulate and find the source and do the thing and all the rest of it. Like, someone sabotaged them and they were like, well, guess we won't talk about that ever again or think about it or try and figure out who did it. Like, meh.
Yeah.
Although I suppose when Ethan showed up, they were like, well, it's probably Ethan.
Yeah, that's true. And is that all of our Sayid stuff?
Wait, you didn't get us to the iconic final line when Sayid, he's come back to Locke and he's like, and now you're going to take me to the hatch. There is another bit after that, I think, but that's
well, I thought it just ends with "you're going to take me to the hatch," but according to the transcript, Locke says "hatch." I already showed you. And Sayid says, John, no more lies.
Oh yeah, that is how it ends.
Ooh. Shall we do our little fun time B plot?
And now we circle back to what we missed.
I loved it.
I loved it too. Charlie and Turnip Head.
Yeah, so Charlie and Son, like, ultimately convince Claire that she actually should sleep and she can't be awake with her baby 24 hours a day indefinitely.
Yeah.
So Charlie is on babysitting duty, but the baby won't stop crying.
Oh no.
What a sitcom situation we find ourselves in.
And who do we need in a sitcom, Helen? We need Hurley.
Oh, yeah. Hurley's like, I've got just the thing. This will sort it out. And does quite an extensive scene of singing I Feel Good by James Brown. And they do a little dance and it's delightful and it doesn't work.
My favourite bit is when Charlie bops along to the bum, bum,
Yeah.
bum, bum. Very
but it doesn't
good.
work. And Hurley's like, that's all I got, man. Sorry. Like, that I have one trick for quieting a baby and it didn't work. But then they're hanging out by the raft and Sawyer is like, get the fucking baby away from me.
Well, first of all, they hang around by the raft and Charlie asks Michael if he's got any advice, which I thought was cute after we talked about Michael needing a parenting buddy. And I thought it was quite cute that then Charlie is like, hey, you have a child. And Michael's like, don't talk to me about raising my
He's literally
child.
like, this is the difference between Michael and Jack, that when Charlie comes up to Michael and is like, have you got any tips for, like, babies? Michael doesn't just go like, don't ask me about it. That's my deepest trauma, which is kind of what Jack does. But he just says something like, oh, walk with the baby, which is also a good tip. But Charlie's like, no, man, it doesn't help. But then Sawyer is complaining about the baby making all that noise. And when Sawyer opens his mouth, ooh, the liquid gold of Sawyer's sweet voice calms that baby like nothing else.
Charlie does also ask Jin for help, and Jin just goes, no, which is a big
No,
move
he
for
asks
me.
him if he knows where Son is, because obviously token woman Son will know what to do.
Oh, that's true. Well, I prefer my headcanon that Jin's like, baby, no thanks.
It's just such a lovely little detail that the baby would like the sound of Sawyer's voice. And so then Charlie is like comically running
Following
after
Sawyer along.
As Sawyer's increasingly agitated, like, get the fucking baby away from me. But they ultimately manage to sit cozily together under a tarpaulin as Sawyer reads car adverts from a magazine.
Yeah.
It's kind of a sad one for Sawyer because he does love reading. He could have just been reading one of his books out loud.
That's true. He could have
But
just
I felt
watched
like it
down.
created a nice like juxtaposition in the scene, or like on this deserted island underneath a tarpaulin, with him reading out like a advert for a car and all its special features and things, and it was just like, wow, we're so far away from that world now.
Yeah, and then Claire finds them and she's like, what are you doing? Yeah, it's very, very sweet, very cute.
Loved it.
Shout out Turnip Head.
Nice bit of light comic relief in the episode.
And then we have a couple of short little bits with Walt that I just wanted to highlight. The first is Walt, while Locke is rinsing his Boone blood shirt, Walt is there just sort of watching him, and Locke waves at him, and Walt just sort of stares and then walks away. And it's like, oh no.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's a bit sad times for Locke and Walt and their, like, friendship. But, I mean, when Locke also says to Sayid, Jack called me a liar in front of every man, woman and child on this island, I felt like the child hit especially hard.
There's
one
only
child.
One,
and it was Locke's former bestie.
Yeah. I mean, it's sad for Walt as well, because obviously we saw that Locke was the one who sort of treated Walt as an adult and was actually sort of guiding him. And I guess this is coming around the same time that we're seeing Walt and Michael's relationship develop, and maybe it's actually okay because Michael is starting to step up.
Functional dad, yeah.
Yeah, and so Walt doesn't need to find substitute dad Locke anymore. But also just, I don't know, the fact that Michael was really adamant that it was not good for Walt to be around Locke and it's dangerous and he doesn't want him hanging out with Locke, and Walt was very like, no, I like Mr. Locke. He's my friend. He's teaching me useful things. And now Walt sees what has happened to the person who was hanging around with Mr. Locke. Danger did come to him, and maybe actually Michael was right, and maybe this is a dangerous man and I shouldn't be getting involved with this. And then we go to them on the raft, and Michael and Walt are having this kind of sweet conversation where Walt's asking, how much weight can it hold? What happens if it tips over? What happens if a shark attacks us?
What happens if we die?
What happens if we die? And Michael says, we're not going to die. And Walt says, well, Boone died.
Walt also is like, I don't know, I've been listening to Connor's Corner on Dharma Fish Biscuits, and he made some really good points about not having any drinking water with us.
Yeah, it's also, I don't know, I want to suggest that it's because they're on this island, there's a very small community here, subjectively, and one of them has died, and it's really shaking Walt. But also, I think, well, 2 weeks ago, his mum died, so he's sort of quite used to the idea of death. But then I'm like, well, maybe that's the whole thing.
Ago,
but...
Like, you've just established they've been on the island for
6 weeks.
6 weeks, so
7 weeks ago, his mum died. But maybe that's the thing. Maybe it's like, oh, well, his mum died and it was cancer, and maybe he's able to sort of chalk that up to a really unexpected thing that happened, and it was really sad. And now it's like, oh, no, someone else has died. I don't know. The idea of mortality must be weighing quite heavily on him.
Yeah, that's true. I really like, just a tiny, tiny little note while we're on the raft. Jin's English is coming along. Like, Jin and Michael are communicating well with each other. Jin says something in Korean, and Michael's like, yeah, tighter, got it. And then he says something else. They talk about something else. He's like, that good? And Jin's like, good. And
good.
Like, yay. Yeah. Love them. Love their friendship. It's time for the last bits of the episode. Connor's Corner.
Yes. If you want aviation or medical information, welcome to Connor's Corner.
Burying a body in a tarp is not good. The tarp won't biodegrade.
That's true.
And I don't know if it's going to affect the body biodegrading. He wasn't that specific about it.
I mean,
that's...
he didn't feel anything about like burying a body in a beach where there's lots of like storms and stuff.
I mean, they did bury him like up the hill a bit.
Fair enough. But I agree, burying the body in plastic, that's not sustainability king behaviour.
Also, like that, those tarps are quite useful and fine.
Yeah, they're actually, that's also another good point.
Yeah. Anyway, that was that. Hot ranking.
Hot can be physical, hot can be emotional. Hot is whatever we decide, and everyone's attractive, but who's top of the ranking? Who's the hottest one on this island?
Yes, hot ranking. Who's your hot person?
I'm sorry if this is an unpopular decision. I am going for Charlie because he is an attractive man and he was being very cute with the baby.
He was being cute with the baby.
Very hot behaviour.
Give that one to you.
Thank you.
Partly I wanted to nominate Kate for drugging Jack, which I thought was funny, but I also think like we shouldn't be encouraging this behaviour. I loved Sawyer in his glasses reading.
That was good.
Let me just check out how the list is looking at the moment.
We have Non-Sayid, Jin, Sawyer,
right.
Hurley.
Then it's time again to nominate Sawyer, who was a sheer delight in his mismatched glasses, reading from a magazine to a baby.
I approve.
Easy choice.
Does this mean Sawyer goes to the top? He's number 4 at the moment.
Yeah, it does mean that. So that means that the hot ranking is as follows. Sawyer, Non-Sayid, 3 strong S candidates. We love to see them on top. Charlie, Jin, Hurley, Kate. Kate is too far down this list. We're going to do something about that. Shannon, Michael, Claire, Locke, Rose, Rousseau.
Nice. Very nice.
Love that Rousseau's on the list.
Hate that Locke is on the list.
I mean, that was your doing, so...
Yeah, well, it was my doing, to be fair. We haven't demoted anyone in a while. Maybe Locke should be demoted.
Actually, he's already low down, but yeah, let's demote
Shall we
Locke.
put him to the bottom?
Let's do that.
Great. Did this pass the Bechdel test? I don't think so.
I think it did when Sun was telling Claire that she should sleep.
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
What a win for feminism. Right, that's our episode.
Don't forget, you can follow us on socials. We're on Instagram at Dharma Fish Biscuits Pod. We're on TikTok at Dharma Fish Biscuits.
If you have any thoughts, feelings, views, comments, queries, feedback, or anything else of that nature, you should email us at dharmafishbiscuitspod@gmail.com.
You can also leave us a review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, or indeed anywhere else you listen to podcasts. Give us 5 stars, write a nice little comment, or simply tell a friend. Spread the word.
Our next episode will be out in 2 weeks.
We'll be discussing episode 22, Born to Run. And until then, I'll see you in another life, Helen.
See you in another life, brother.